Hello guys, and welcome to my first video. I've been doll customizing for a few years now, and I figured I'd start sharing it and my process. Please don't mind the Laguna doll as my stand-in. I have not made my doll yet. But that's not today's video. I would like to know I don't have a lot of the proper equipment, but I make do, and the techniques I employ are actually look pretty decent. Today we will be making a character. Let's bring in the doll. So today we will be customizing this Clawdeen wolf doll. She's wearing Mercedes' dress from the Blue York line right now. She was in a used doll lot my family got me, so she has some marks on her that I'll fix as best as I can. But she could use some love. Let's get started. On to the concept art. So I can't draw, so I used a template and came up with this design. The hair is meant to be white, but it wouldn't show on the background. I was also having trouble with the face, so it's just gonna happen when it happens. So the first thing we do is prep the head for removal. First we cut the hair at the base. I'm sorry for the poor angle and it being in the wrong direction for half the episode. I'm filming on my phone and I forgot to flip it. But I'm just taking scissors and chopping the hair at the base and making sure the hair goes into a bag so it doesn't get all over my house. Once you cut off all the hair and make sure it gets into that bag, and you're left with just the stubble. Now it's time for the cruel, unusual punishment portion of the video. First you get hot water, like hot, not lukewarm, hot enough to heat up the vinyl head so that you can tug it off the neck peg without damaging it. Make sure the vinyl neck hole is squishy before you tug it off. This seems scary, especially since I've damaged some before, but you'll see I succeeded this time. Now this is the fun part of getting to leave the decapitated doll around the house while you work. I swear my family is scared of me. So the next step is to remove the plugs, and her head is a lot harder than most that I've dealt with, so I'm soaking it in hot water to try and loosen the glue up. Then taking a metal tool and then scrape. I said scrape. So it seems she has a ton of glue in her head, and I'm struggling. So I switched to a pair of scissors that I didn't mind if I messed up and was still struggling. The goal is to see the hair come out of the plugs into the head, and then you tug them out of the head through the neck peg. Also say hi to Puppy. So I finally got all the plugs and glue up, and that's a ton and a gross amount of glue. Sorry they did that to you, Clawdeen. Like, she didn't deserve that much glue. That took so long and my hand hurt. But the next thing to do is to remove the face. So what I do is take a Q-tip and 100% acetone and wipe off the factory paint. Side note, I have like 3 of these giant bottles of 100% acetone. Thanks, Grandma. Then the next thing to do is to take a tissue soaked in acetone and wipe the face clean so there is no streaks of paint left. I also took off the hair paint in preparation for the white hair so the scalp looks fuller. So then it's time for the reroot. I always use yarn because I don't have doll hair and it's out of focus. Let's fix that. Thank you. So you take the length that you want and double it and cut it at the double so that when you stab it in the head at the halfway point, it is still about the length you wanted it. So I took the strands and unraveled them and made the hank you see below, which was not nearly enough. Then my rerouting tool is a big-eyed needle with the eye cut at an angle, and a pair of like plier tweezers that can lock in place. Then I slip the strand of yarn on the halfway point over the cut needle eye, and then I stab it into the head in the previous holes. I also will say that I made a new part, and you'll see later that I put a few strands of purple in the part. So, I forgot to see if I had all the fabric I needed, so I had to make a new concept art. So this is the new outfit for the doll. I had looked through the fabric I had and picked this out, but after I sewed the dress I found a fabric that would have worked in the fabric box that I had hidden. So I went ahead and traced the outline I needed from her form to create the pattern I wanted which for the basic pattern only needed 2 pattern pieces for the top and for the bottom individually, but I made 2 of the front skirt pieces so that I could keep one and cut the second in half. So I cut out the pattern pieces of each piece. I didn't actually end up using 2 of the 4 skirt pieces and made another piece in a different fabric, and I changed the top to 1 piece because of the fabric type. I don't have me sewing it because I tried to time lapse it, but it still ended up like 10 minutes long, and I figured you didn't want to watch me hand sewing a dress for 10 minutes. I also made the dress a lace up back. So this is the pattern I made for the jacket, which includes 2 sleeves. The bigger piece is the back, and the 2 smaller ones are for the front. I would like to take the time to say I don't have a sewing machine at all, so all the clothes I make I sew by hand, and I hate working with cloths, but I try most of the time. Not this time, which for the dress I made lace up because I didn't feel like messing with them. After I sew the clothes, I started on the face. So I tried to get some pastels on there, but I forgot mine aren't soft enough for me to use a brush, but I didn't feel like getting up to get a Q-tip. That works better. Sue me. But then I start with my colored pencils. Earlier I said I didn't have watercolor pencils and sealant, so if you've seen other people do this, you're probably like, how? But I learned over the years that if you dip normal colored pencils in water, it makes the color come off, so I draw that on. I used to have more trouble drawing the eyes, but recently I found if I draw it half closed, I can do it better. To finish it off, I add some white acrylic paint for the whites of the eyes, the eye shines, and I painted her nose tip white because I kept the wolf ears. I should probably shut up and just let you watch. For the shoes I use a factory pair, and I had painted them in the past, so I'm just painting over them, and I couldn't find my purple acrylic paint, so I was using purple fabric paint, and that dried a bit tacky, so I sealed it later with some Elmer's glue. I'm sorry for a portion of the time lapse that got kind of blurry and out of focus. I didn't even realize that was happening. So here she is, all done and finished. I'm sorry for the change of background. I'm at my grandma's at the time of finishing this. I also forgot the doll stand, so apology for that. You may be wondering why my stand-in doll has changed to Gulia, but you'll find that out in the next video. The doll was actually done about a week ago, but as I said at the beginning, I procrastinate a lot. So these are the finishing pictures. I actually enjoy how she turned out. I will say you may notice some inconsistencies in the sewing that before I go to sell her in a few months I will fix. But besides that, I'm happy with how she turned out. I thought for a while for a name, and I thought it would name her Willow. Because she looks so sophisticated, I thought it fit her. Hope you enjoyed and thanks for watching. Bye!